welcome in. These are my World Championships recap videos. This is going to be stage one. Here is my entry to the stadium with Bjorn. What a trip it was. I'm going to do a bit of a post on the day-to-day on the trip, but let's get into the stage one recap now. So same format as the semi-finals. It's the mountains verdict. Chaser elimination bot starts 2 minutes after us and tries to chase us all down before we reach the top of this ever increasingly steep mountain. There's the course profile. I think in the semis we made it maybe like 16 minutes or maybe up to 17 minutes, something like that. But we had a bigger field, which meant a lot of draft in the earlier parts of the race. There it is again. Thanks to the MyWhoosh team for this coverage. Hopefully I can use it. We are about to get into the action. There's the start list. So A for Australia, we're at the top. Lots of Belgian guys there. And basically 21 legends. Absolutely awesome guys. Certainly the highlight of the trip, getting to meet these guys a bit better. But now we are getting started and it is all underway. Now, as I said, I kind of thought in this flat section that no one would really want to take the lead because obviously every bit of energy you can save for the steeper parts will be beneficial. Our rider cams are kind of on the right hand side there, as you can see. And interestingly enough, before we walked out, Hayden Pucker was like, I'm not going to attack on the flat, boys. I promise, I'm not going to attack on the flat. And there he is right there up on screen. And what does he do? In a moment on the flat, he attacks, which is honestly the last thing that I wanted. I wanted to kind of get into the steeper part without using too much energy. I don't like riding on the flat too much on the Justo, but at this pace it wasn't really any issue. But I will talk about some of that stuff as we get into it. But you can see Hayden's statistics there as he launches his attack on the flat. He quickly surges up to about 700 or 800 watts, and that is of course going to get a response from guys like Jason Osborne, who apparently watches some of my videos. So hopefully, well done Jason if you're watching. But Hayden's off the front here. That causes a bit of a snowball effect into the pack, and we're going to chase him down and everything's going to settle down again. But it's a little bit of energy wasted, but it's also a little bit of energy wasted for everyone. So you can see there, Jason, Ski Tugles are the first to cross some of the big contenders for today's race. All of our data is there on the right hand side, and I do notice that my heart rate is probably among the lowest of the field when I do show up there. The chaser starts 2 minutes in, and I will just speed things up a fraction because talking about this for 15 minutes will honestly be quite difficult. It's essentially, with a bit of draft, a bit of a time trial. Now, I felt fantastic in this stage in the semi-final, but I can already tell 2.5 minutes in that I'm not feeling super efficient for whatever reason. Now, the venue is warming up. I could tell from my test ride earlier and also in the warm-up that it was going to be pretty hot, but I hope that the heat training as Tugles goes off the front right now. Hopefully this puts you to sleep, mate, like you said my videos do in the warm-up. But yeah, a few big dogs are going clear there, but again, it's going to get chased down and closed down. But we're starting to get into the 4% gradient. So from here, it's only going to get tougher. But as I was saying, the heat in the venue was certainly evident. I was hoping that it wouldn't really cause too many issues, but about 5 minutes in, I started to notice the drip starting to come off, and I've been notoriously bad in the heat across my sporting career. Anytime I used to have a running race in the heat, it was likely to go poorly. So I'm certainly not a very kind of heat acclimated athlete. And it was about to be evident, I'd say, from about the 8 minute mark in this race. But for now, everyone's still in the lead group 5 minutes in, and it's about kind of staying with the pack as long as you can while people start to drop off. Now, you don't want to be the first one or two to drop off. So I'm kind of putting myself up in around the top 10 there. But look, 400 watts for me is usually pretty comfortable for like a mid-range effort, and I was only hitting 400 watts momentarily throughout this stage. There was certainly no part of this stage where I felt like I was holding 400 watts steadily. It was a far harder performance than in the semi-finals to do so. And another factor for that was just the elite justo on this course was shit for me. Now, a lot of the other guys, I didn't hear too many complaints, but what you'd get, and I'll put the cadence graph up here, is the course is getting steeper all the time, but that's not what the justo would do. I'd be riding at, say, 60 RPM, and all of a sudden it would just bite so much that I'd have to drop to 50 RPM. I'd then shift gears, and then within a couple of seconds it kind of eased that resistance and I'd be up at 70 RPM. And then that's too quick and I would lose efficiency and I'd shift down and then I'd be back at 50 RPM. And it was just a cycle of not feeling smooth. Whereas on this course in the semi-final on the Kickr, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. You are sitting in one gear, there we are there. The course is getting steeper, so what happens is my cadence will drop in one gear from, say, 64, 63, 62, 61, all the way down till I got to about 56, which is about where I felt like I'd need to shift, and then I'd shift. The cadence would go back up to 63, and I'd repeat that cycle. But on the justo, it was just all over the shop, and I just couldn't get that rhythm at all. Yes, and I just didn't cope with it. I'm not sure if it's because my RPM is the lowest out of everyone, or my physiology just doesn't cope well with the changes of that. I'm not too sure, but I didn't handle it very well on the day, unfortunately. And I will put those graphs up there so you can kind of see what I mean. That very steady but fluctuating, wavy cadence graph compared to the semi-final where it's Sorry for my noises, they probably don't help at all. But it was at about the 9 minute mark. You can see 5 or 6 guys dropping off the back. So for me, I was like, okay, this is okay. I'm not gonna kind of be in the last few guys, but for now, I'm still just trying to survive with these guys as long as I could. Now, confidence is a little low at this point because I am feeling like I am getting a little bit overheated. Get to the point where like 360 watts, so about 6 watts a kilo, is really challenging. So that's a sign that I can't push my normal power, and this is where it's evident. Jason makes a move, the top guys respond, and I just don't have it to respond at this stage. So I'm just trying to hold in the draft. The other thing here that I could tell I was overheating is I came into this race really fresh, a big nice taper, so my max heart rate really should have gone from 170-ish, low 170s, up to about 180. That's typically how things happen with a nice freshening period, but my max, I couldn't get above like 168 here, so kind of a typical response when you're a little bit too hot and you can't dip into those last kind of 10 beats. There's something missing that you're not able to kind of tap into, unfortunately. And so that was kind of my limit on the day. What a ride from Neil, by the way, on this stage. So Neil was 21st in the semis, and on the mountains verdict, he's really putting it to everyone. Super performance from him. But yeah, at this stage, I'm kind of last wheel in this group. trying to stay with the guys battling it out for like 11th to 15th. So Hayden's there. I think Stefan Van Elst's there. Ruben's there somewhere. I think Casper Bormans is there. So kind of guys like that, you'll soon see around me. And I think now we're showing Matthias Van He as the chaser bot is starting to get nearer to him. So I think he is going to make it, somewhere between the 13 and 14 minute mark. So he's going to pick up probably 160 or so points for his efforts. And when really not that far up the road, you can see there I'm about 200 metres from the chaser, and at the pace that it's coming, it's not going to be too significant. Now, there are about 5 guys, as you can see, just up the road here from Matthias, and they're all going to be caught within the next probably 30 or 40 seconds. Here's the rest of the main pack, so you can see Newell up in 9th, and then there's a bit of a split to the group where I am. Now, knowing where I am compared to these other guys, I kind of wanted to just stay on Hayden's wheel. I probably saved 1% or 2 here, knowing that these points are not going to, if these other guys ahead beat me by a bit, it's only going to be 5 points, but there's so many more than 5 points that can be left on the road in stage 2 and 3 by just kind of staying that percent within myself. As I'm about to get caught, it's honestly a pretty poor performance from me comparative to the semi-final, but I'm only losing out a couple of points to the guys that are just up the road. Here, these guys are getting caught. They get about 4 points more than me. This is the group that I feel like if I climbed well, I wanted to be around. So you've kind of got like the 4th to 9th place guys there. They probably got an extra 10 points on me. So it's not crazy, with a lot of racing still to come. Things aren't over, but it's not a great start. As Jason shows his class here, he's going to score the most points out of everyone. I think about 30 less maybe than he did in the semis, but obviously a slower start. And there are the points from stage 1 there. So you can see from kind of like 4th, it's basically close. I'll leave you with the numbers from MyWhoosh info. Yeah, certainly not my best, but on to stage 2. I'm still alive, and I will see you there for the next recap. Thanks for watching. Drop me a subscribe to get me to 1,000. Cheers.